exciting.
Okay, we're live on Facebook. Just bear with me while I check that it's sort of worked live on Facebook as we do. Wrong page, Graham. Let's, oops, someone's turned the light out. Okay, that's always a good start, isn't it? Hey? Anyone see it? Okay, it says it's live on Facebook.
Yep, I see it.
You see it? Good, okay. Right. Just bear with me while I check that.
It's there, you see.
Okay, take it away then. All right, so let's get rid of that. Okay, Sally, yeah, I'm going to start with you. Today is all about listening, but not just listening, active listening. And so even though you're going to talk, what would you like to say?
Right. For me, to start off with, I'm going to say that active listening is about understanding. Understanding what the person is actually thinking and feeling before we can respond to their words. I'll give you an example. So by watching body language and using your intuition from what we had last time to look for clues about their emotional state, noticing any mismatch that there might be about and any in their body language or facial expressions. Do they look confused? You know, these are the type of things and the clues we're looking for. Do they look relaxed? Do they look anxious? Does the body language back up what they're actually saying? So that's
okay. Well, wow. I mean, there's loads there. Neil, over to you.
Yeah, very much the same as what Sally was saying. It's being aware of that body language, because that's saying something before you even start to talk, obviously. And just generally listening to the person and making them feel comfortable by hearing what they're saying, and then just repeating certain phrases back to them, or just clarifying with them and making them feel comfortable, really.
Okay, good. Ray.
It's a brilliant, fascinating topic, and it's something I've been interested in for a long time. I think if you're interested in coaching generally, understanding the pupil and getting that feedback is is quite an amazing thing at some points. But I think for me, active listening is it's that ability to focus on what the pupil is not only saying, but what they're not saying. I think it's really important, active listening, because there's lots of benefits to it. I mean, you avoid misunderstandings, you get a real deeper understanding of really, what's been said. You can catch the important bits. Just on the back of what Sally was saying about using your intuition there, but catching the things that they're not saying is sometimes just as important as catching things that they are, including those thoughts and feelings. But
okay,
also that deeper understanding of the pupil, their knowledge and their understanding and how they're feeding that back, but also their worldview and their attitudes. And it all helps and massively important for building rapport. It's really essential for rapport. You got a more positive relationship, it builds trust. Pupils feel that they're heard, and I think that's crucially important. And then pupils feel that empathy, don't they? So it's massively important, I think, in that in-car relationship.
Absolutely. Mr. Lavell.
Hello.
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 Is there anything you like to add?
I've got one thing. I've been musing on this all day.
Okay.
I know you find that hard to believe, me doing prep.
Yeah.
The old saying, 2 ears, 1 mouth, listen twice as much as you speak. But what I was thinking of was, as instructors, coaches, we think a lot about how we're going to say things, the message we're going to get across. do we really think twice as hard about what other people are saying as we do about the things we are about to say? And I've been putting that into practice today when the light bulb went off, and I'm not doing it nearly as much as I should be.
Okay.
If we're following the 2 ears, 1 mouth through,
Yeah.
which was quite an eye opener. So that's my take on it. I think we could
Okay.
all
No,
do better.
I think that's really good, Ian, because I think all of us actually don't listen as much as we could listen, you know. And I, you know, people know me. I can be top of the tree at the don't listening stuff, because once I'm switched off, I'm switched off. So you know, so I really understand that. I think actually this leads me to the next part. Really, is you have to prepare to listen. You have to be prepared to listen. Sally, how do you go about getting prepared to be able to listen?
Well, for myself, what I try to do is encourage, again, it comes back to rapport, having a neutral. And when I say neutral, I'm talking about perhaps you can imagine between a doctor and a patient. It's a neutral relationship and a non-judgmental. So because that's vital for active listening, because that allows people to open up without feeling judged or, you know, feeling stupid. So that allows us a better opportunity to elicit another coaching skill, elicit feedback from the client, which is vital, again, for safe driving.
Okay, I think that's really good. I think I'd like to add something else to it. I think in preparing to listen, this is about me personally, I need to be in the right place.
Yeah.
I need to get myself relaxed and focused. And I think one of the things that we can do, and I do it occasionally, maybe not as much as I like, is a little bit of mindfulness, you know, a little bit of just calming myself down, shutting the flow off, and just getting myself into a position where I can focus on the client. Now, I can't always do that because it's just not always possible, but yeah, getting myself into a relaxed focus is really useful. Neil, how do you go about demonstrating that you're listening? Because, you know, how does anyone know anyone's listening to anything?
It's by just listening to what they say, and then, like I say, repeating certain things back to them, but staying focused on that person and not looking elsewhere, doing other things, fiddling, tapping or whatever. It's just staying silent, looking at the person,
yeah,
and listening.
I'm
to
all over this.
saying. That's right, yeah.
Yeah, and we all do that, you know. It's important. My phone is face down. I think if you have your phone face up, it's really, really what a giveaway. Yeah, because that reminded me, you see, not as you were speaking, but if anyone watched The Undoing, there was a part where she was doing a counselling session and her phone was up and she got a message from her son's school. And that completely distracted her. She lost the conversation. It pissed her clients off, and she lost the rapport. So yeah, absolutely spot on, Neil. You know, Sally, go on, and I can see you gagging.
I was just going to say, just to follow on what Neil just said about using their words, because when you repeat back their own words, one, it can help them to hear themselves and thinking, oh, no, I didn't actually mean that, so they can change it. Two, we could listen at the type of words they use, which will help us build rapport, because if they are used in visual words, oh, I see what you mean, or that rings a bell, those type of words. So we can use their words. So what is it exactly that you see? So that again helps build up rapport, and it shows that you are engaged and listening to the actual conversation over just passively listening and having your own agenda.
Cool. what other, Ian, what other ways can we demonstrate that we're listening? Neil suggested repeating back. Can we expand on that repeating back?
Well, you can paraphrase. You
Okay.
put different words around the same meaning to see if they agree with you. Being attentive as well, asking them to give you more information, tell me more about that. You know, genuinely, it's a phrase I used last time. I'm going to repeat it because repetition's good.
Yeah.
Being curious and interested.
Yes.
You know, if you can allow your curiosity free rein with your gob.
That's great. I love that because, you know, just tell me some more. Yeah. You know, just as simple as that. You know, just tell me some more. Okay, that's great.
Confirming what they mean as well. When I hear that, I think of X. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
You know, similar to paraphrasing, I suppose.
I mean, I like paraphrasing because what it does is it helps you check your intuition. Yeah, because you can paraphrase and go, if I'm right, is this what you mean? And you can completely get it wrong then and be okay. And then you go, oh shit, I weren't listening really, was I? At least you got out of jail free, didn't you? Because then you go, because there's another thing. I mean, you can use that paraphrasing when you're not listening to go, oh, if I'm right, do you mean so? You go, no, and you go, oh, thank you for that, because I didn't listen to words you blooming well said, so now you can say it again and I can get it. Where was I? Yeah, so that's a cheat, but yeah. Okay.
It's nice, isn't it, when you do that, because it just shows the people straight away that not only are you listening to them, but you're able to recall what they've said, and you know, like Ian says, you're curious, and other questions might follow on from that. But the thing about also being curious is that there's a psychological thing goes on there, because what you tend to do then is you tend to park your own judgment. And you tend to forget about that for the time being, because you're really interested in what this person and you're curious about what this person is about to or saying at the moment. And of course, when you're doing that, again, the pupil feels heard, and that adds to the rapport and builds your trust.
Cool. I want to add to demonstrating listening.
I know what you're going to say.
Well, go on. Use your intuition then, Sally. Go on.
Well, I think I know what you're going to say. And another tool that you could use, I think is very valuable when you're listening to somebody, is to be silent.
Silence is a good one. Yeah, silence. Interestingly, I was going to mention the 80-20 rule.
Same thing there.
The Pareto principle. Whereas a good way of checking that you're listening is that the coach or the client, the coachee or the client is speaking 80% of the time and you're only speaking 20% of the time. Yeah. And then you can summarize that. We had a great conversation about body language and facial expressions. We've touched on that already, that it's a great way of demonstrating that we're listening. I'll come to you, Ray. Well, I'll come to you first, Ray, because I've got another question, but you might answer it anyway.
Well, I was just going to say about body language, because there's two things to be wary of there. It's not only is it the pupil, it's the pupil's body language, and you're looking for clues as to whether that's positive or negative, or how they're feeling, how comfortable they are. You know, are they nodding? What their facial expressions are like? Are they smiling? Are they enjoying things? Are they leaning in? You know, are they engaging with you? But also flipping that coin over, you've also got, you know, your body language as well, and the messages that can give out. So is that positive? Is that negative? And the pupil is then feeding back off that, and all that then can because those messages that you're giving out, those visual messages, you can be both listening to them, can't you? It's not just the pupil's body language.
Absolutely. I mean, body language. I'm reading a book about body language, so I'm really getting into that, really interested. So I'm interpreting everything what goes on. Yeah. No. Neil, what sort of things should we avoid? I mean, I've already mentioned one of them. But, you know, to demonstrate that we're listening, what sort of things should we avoid doing?
Obviously, distractions, like you say, is a big one. Yeah, but just being not interested in them, like I said before, you know, paying no attention to them, not being attentive, like Ian says, or just shutting up and just listening to what they're saying. That's the biggest thing, or the biggest distractions anybody can find. It's going to switch the report straight off.
Absolutely. I want to come to Mr. Lavell. Mr. Lavell, what weren't you doing that you are doing now? Because you know you've come clean and gone, wasn't listening as well as what I could have been.
Correct.
So what have you noticed in yourself that, you know, or tell us what you've stopped doing, or etc.
It's not what I've stopped doing, it's what I've started doing more of. And that is actually concentrating on the words. I'm not thinking about anything other than the words that are coming out and how they're coming out, rather than changing anything else. It was that two ears, one mouth thing. Do I concentrate twice as much on the words that other people are saying as I do on the words that I know I'm going to say? And that was really quite a light bulb moment for me.
Okay, yeah, and I tell you what, it's really good, because that's about going with the coachee's agenda and not your own agenda. You know, staying silent and not having the next question is really, really good until they've finished. So that's good. I think some of the things that you should do sometimes is to stay calm, breathing, making sure it's nice and relaxed, and at times stay still, because if you're moving, you know, if someone's moving, it can be a bit distracting, and some of us are a bit kinesthetic anyway, and we're all, you know, but if someone's trying to say something and the other one's like, you know, it's distracting. So staying calm and still, good breathing. Okay. So
can I come back on that? I think it's a good idea to, you know, if you're in a car with somebody and something's happened, it's important to share that with the person who you want to listen to as well, to get them calmed down and get them relaxed and give them the time to think about what they're going to say, so you can think about listening to what they're going to say as well.
Absolutely. I know I'm going to struggle for time on this, so I'm going to miss something out for the moment, which is the 5 levels of active listening, because I did write 2 articles about listening. I could have written more, but I was just scratching the surface. But what does listening do for you as the coach, Sally?
Oh, okay. With listening, if we're looking about the coaching qualities, the whole point of building rapport, active listening, what we're doing today, and asking effective questions, which you're going to cover this Thursday, it's all about developing the client's ability to self-evaluate.
Yeah.
And that's the purpose of the whole thing in the first place, so that they're able to feedback on themselves and how they're doing and how they're getting on. So their strengths, they can recognize it, raises their awareness. So as we know, that feedback, because we're listening it, which allows us to be able to hear, because we've done the rapport, we've done everything else, you know, for it to all come together. It raises the client's awareness of how their strengths and their limitations and any development needs that they may have. And also how their thoughts and feelings can affect their behavior. So that's, for me, that's what active listening is all about. It all comes together as a package.
Neil, the same question for you as a coach. How does listening help you?
Well, actually, if you think of having just a blank piece of paper, if you actively listen to somebody, you can actually build a picture of what they're like, what's happening around them, whatever. just through listening, you can just write down on that piece of paper or draw it, and you get that picture about that person.
I like that.
Ray.
I was just thinking about that question. It was, I think if just generally, I think the more that I listen, the more I understand, and the more I understand, the more then I can shape and change maybe my questioning or how I'm training this person to help them. So I think it's a crucial part of helping you to match what you're doing to the pupil's level of ability and all those sorts of things we talk about. But certainly getting to know them, getting to know what will help them, and just understanding that feedback is like panning for gold. You know, it's sometimes you come across a little bit of a nugget and you've written it down, and they've said something about fear, and if you weren't listening for that, you would have taken that pupil or helped that pupil down a completely different learning path, and maybe not covered that at all. So it's for me, it's developing that understanding of them to help them, which is what, you know, we're there to do.
Okay, Ian.
Well,
And you can repeat yourself, I don't mind.
it's like one of the early scenes in The Wizard of Oz.
Okay.
Where Galinda waves a magic wand and suddenly everything has colour.
I like that.
Yeah,
Brings
nice.
colour into your direction.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, yeah. More dimensions to the person. I really like that. I think, and Ray touched on it, but I think I want to expand a little bit more about it. And this will go back to the days when we used to do lots of in-car coaching together, and when we were having coaching conversations. And I remember encouraging people to listen for the feeling words. Because not just the words, but the feelings words. And Ray touched on it, but fear, but anxious, calm, you know, nervous, excitable, you know, those words that generated a feeling in someone. And we often missed because the actual, we were so stuck on our own agendas of teaching them whatever was coming next that we missed the obstacles, which were the barriers to their learning, because we didn't hear the emotional words. And I think if we're listening and we're really listening for the feelings words, not interrupting. That's why I end up sort of like this, because I like to cross my fingers. It's the only thing I can do. It's like tying a knot in your hanky. Now, Ian, you could tie a knot in your cravat. Yeah.
Oh, that would be distracting, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be, mate. But seriously, on a serious note, so remembering those feelings words, and because I suppose the difficult thing with listening is knowing when to interrupt. And that's really can be quite a challenge, because we don't want to interrupt them, but if you let them go too far, they will forget what they've said, and you need to catch them in the moment sometimes. So I think listening for the right time to interrupt is important. Ray, go on.
I was just going to add to that, because we've talked about it a little bit earlier, but the power of silence at that point, you know, and holding on to that silence maybe at the end of something they've said, because you're using your intuition. There's something they still want to try and get out. So it's about not jumping in at that point and just letting them exhaust themselves, and helping them a little bit along the way.
Excellent. Now, I'm going to wrap up shortly, but that I can't wrap.
I'd like to hear that.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't be able to rap without swearing anyway, so that would be like, we'd be off. Does anyone want to add anything? Because before I bring this to a nice, I think, finish, because I think I've got something that I'm going to finish with now, because I've been listening to all of you, and you've brought what I want to say actually together really nicely.
the only thing I wanted to say is that what you said about the emotional state, because when we're here and listen to those words, or I feel a little bit stressed, that is an opportunity that we could work with your client to explore how their emotional state can affect their ability to learn, as well as their ability to drive, kind of behavior as well. And listening to help understand with a person, not about them.
Okay.
That's what listening is for me.
Yes. Okay, to understand. Say that again, Sally. Go on.
Listening to help understand with a person and not about them.
Yeah, with a person and not about them. Okay, that's nice. I like that. Anybody else want to add anything? Mr. Lavell.
Go for it.
And then Neil.
It helps you teach the person, not the subject.
Yeah, like that.
Yes.
Okay, anyone else done it short and snappy?
Use your third ear. Tune into what your pupil might be saying, but also what they might not be saying. There's something else.
Neil?
Just don't make assumptions before.
Yeah, okay, cool. Right, thank you all. Look, I'm going to finish because I do want to mention the 5 levels, the 5 levels of active listening and sort of, where it goes wrong. And, at the first stage, as the person who's listening, we screw it up by planning what to say rather than listening. And that's at level 1. And, and we all do it. We're all human. Level 2 is when we reply and go, yeah, I know what you mean. It's, I've done something similar. And level 2 is it's still all about us. Yeah, we're still not really listening. Level 3, ADIs, are you listening? Level 3, giving advice. Yeah, probably as nearly as irritating as when they're planning what to say next. But giving advice, when you've just telling everyone, and I know what you should do is blah blah blah, and you think, oh, I just wanted to spill me guts, not do what you're telling me to do. So I think that's quite parental, giving advice. We've touched on this. We're getting higher up into the levels. Level 4, listening, but inviting more. Yeah, go on. That's interesting. I'll tell you what. Tell me a bit more about that. Yeah. And then level 5, using one's intuition. As Ray said, using silence. Silence? A new word, using silence. Yeah, nothing to do with being dyslexic at all. I just invent these words. Silence suffers it up. So using silence, I think, is the correct terminology. So being silent, what a challenge that is. And also body language. So using one's intuition, staying silent, looking at the body language, being aware that you're listening to the whole person and not about the person. So good. Let's wrap that up. Oh, go on in, Sal. Go on. Ladies can finish.
It's only because of what you said about people want to help, because I believe there's 2 types of people that tend to come towards this industry. There are the fixers or the helpers. So because of that kind of personality, they don't see themselves, because they feel as though they want to step in, they want to help. So they don't stop listening, they just want to help. And they want to sort out the problem. They want to be the fixers. So that's why, as long as recognize yourself, what kind of personality trait you might have, and then reflect back on it.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem as ADIs, I believe, is that we're serial helpers. Absolutely. We are desperate to help people, give our opinions, give our advice, because we're the experts and we know best. And we can only actually do that if we've taken the time to listen to people, because we can give advice, we can help people, we can give opinions, but we must listen first. So I'm going to finish it with that. Okay, so I'm going to wave goodbye.
Thank
I
you,
never get
everyone.
the camera right either. Yeah, that's the dyspraxia coming in as well. So hey, it's all
Ian?
about me. Yeah, dyslexic, dyspraxic. Who wants to listen? Okay, all right. See you all. Be good.